Game 1 of the NBA Finals goes down, and what a sound and thorough ass-kicking by the Boston Celtics as they beat up on the Dallas Mavericks and are now 3 wins away from hoisting their 18th NBA championship. Basically, the full breakdown of this is everything went right for the Boston Celtics, but obviously the big story of this game is Kristaps Porzingis, who was unreal in Game 1. And you kind of figured that if there's anything, if there's anything that he can do, it'll be shooting the basketball. He can get that part of it down, I think. What amazed me is he did everything, right? Like coming off of a 38-day layoff, where, by the way, they only played 10 games, which is insane. But coming off of a 38-day layoff, for him to have the quickness to get around the defender and get to the rim for a dunk, the ability and the hops to get out there and make the blocks on the defensive side, he was a well-rounded basketball player in Game 1, and that is a big concern for Dallas. We talked about it in the preview. The Mavericks don't really have a perfect answer. And I thought, honestly, one of the things we talked about was when Luka was on him, and it started to slow him down and he couldn't really bully. And again, it just gave you time to get the help. But then the problem is, like, okay, he will recognize that. And now you have Lively on Tatum or Gafford on Tatum. They did that a couple times. Tatum blows by him, and there's just nobody helping out at the rim. So it is a tricky balancing act now for Dallas to figure out how to stop it. I think for Dallas, your hope is that it just can't be that insane again in Game 2. Not necessarily, like, Porzingis is going to get his. Brown was unbelievable. And Tatum was just all right. Tatum was perfectly fine just being one of the guys hanging out while Porzingis took over and while Brown took over. But you're going to assume that the other depth pieces aren't going to step up in that way for Dallas, if you are hoping that they have a hope. And I have, right around the trade deadline, had a nice plus 800 ticket on the Mavs to win the NBA championship. That is not looking its best right now. But I think for Dallas, this was a major concern coming in, is like, how many stops can you get? And I even brought it up in the preview. I was like, look, I understand. I'm focusing so much on, okay, how does Boston slow down Dallas? How are they going to be able to do this? Because you can at least work through a couple of options. If plan A don't work for Dallas, there isn't a better option coming in or a different, like, oh, well, we can mix this up at him. It's like, no. This is kind of it. They don't really have a whole lot there right now that they can throw at teams and give them problems. So I do think that there should be a bit of a concern here from a Dallas perspective, that they couldn't stop them at all. At one point it got to 29. They were able to battle their way back. But basically anything Boston wanted on the offensive side, Boston got on the offensive side, and that became a huge issue. For Dallas, offensively, they were also shut down. And I do think this is where you get a bit more optimism, because I'm fairly confident that was the worst game we've seen from Kyrie, or we will see from Kyrie Irving in these finals. I thought he was pretty bad and just was a non-factor. But credit Boston, they made everyone a non-factor. Luka had 1 assist in 35 minutes. That never happens with Luka. They absolutely took away the passing options that Luka Doncic had, and now he got his in scoring, but they took those passing options away. That was a real good job by Joe Maz and this team defensively, and I just want to say, credit Joe Maz. He coached his ass off in that game. I didn't give him a whole lot of credit going into this series, but I thought they did a great job there. But they just took away every other option Luka had, and so he scored, but he alone isn't going to be able to outscore all of those guys. Kyrie needs to get going. We said in the preview, if Kyrie's the second best player in this series, then the Mavericks win the championship. If Kyrie is the 5th best player in this series, Celtics might sweep. Like that's how it is. On the Boston side, there isn't a whole lot to analyze. Jaylen Brown was awesome. KP was awesome. Tatum was good enough. Everyone else was great, and they kicked the shit out of them. Offensively, they got anything they wanted, and it really started, and I know they brought this up on the broadcast, but it really did start when they started attacking the paint, and it opened up passing lanes off of that. It got them opportunities at the rim. Once they started really attacking, Dallas just had no answer. Their perimeter defense is sketchy at best, we'll say. And Boston exploited that, and I would imagine they're going to continue to exploit that. And so I do think we had a bit of a romanticized version of Dallas in our heads, me included. Like, I am not, I have no hill to die on this one. I 100% was like, yeah, I Go Mavs, go. But you saw what worst case scenario was last night, where this Boston offense got anything they wanted. And then defensively, the help defense was tremendous. Porzingis was a shot blocking machine. Jaylen Brown was everywhere defensively. Like this was a complete team performance from the Boston Celtics in game 1 of the NBA Finals.